It's a work in progress. The magical turkey in the straw. How are you guys? It is the end of the year. It is December 2023 somehow. And this year has just gone by so quickly. I just wanted to share what we've been up to as a studio and on Patreon and on YouTube. I want to just remind you of all the magical things that we've done this year and also share some of the things that I've been working on as well, just in case you're interested. But thank you guys so much for supporting this channel. This channel is almost at 20,000 subscribers somehow. I just really appreciate you being here and for your support and for writing little notes here and there, and for all of you on Patreon as well. It's so fun, and I would really love to see you at more of our gatherings that we have every month. Every month we have 4 events. Anyway, I'm going to show this on the screen eventually. In fact, I'll pop it up right now. Here we go. So this year, we have had 12 guest artists come and work with us on Zoom. And it's just been really magical. It's so fabulous to connect with these amazing players, professionals, teachers, professors, specialists. It's just so neat. So thank you for supporting that, and I hope to see more of you at these events each month, I should say. And I think it's so wonderful to study music with a teacher. I've had so much joy studying with my teachers this year, and even finding new teachers to add, and their perspectives have just been, my brain has expanded with joy, I should just say, thanks to their wonderful knowledge. So anyway, let's see who we've actually had this year. We've had Orcadia Grandique, who is a viola professor from the University of Costa Rica. That was in January. Dr. Molly Gabrian, who's the viola professor at the University of Arizona, was in February, and she came out to talk to us about practice techniques for memorization, and she's got a background in neuroscience. It was really great. We had a Qigong teacher come and work with us in March. And by the way, on Patreon, there's an archive of all of these recordings. So if you didn't get to make it, or you're interested in kind of reviewing some of those guest artists, you can go back and watch them on the, I think it's the tea party. There's the $1 tier of the community, there's the $5 teacups, there's the tea party, $15, and then there's the Take the Cake, which has access to all of these, which is $45. April, we had a music history professor from the University of Arizona, Dr. Matthew Mugman, and we learned about medieval music. And in May, we had Dr. Molly Gabrian back again, viola professor from the University of Arizona. I went there for my undergrad, so I just have a soft spot in my heart for that school. And they have really great professors there. So she came out again to talk to us once again about practice techniques. Really fascinating. June, we had Professor Ed Reed, who's a trumpet professor at the University of Arizona. And a trumpet professor, why would us violinists and violists want a trumpet professor? And it's just because trumpets, they have to breathe, and they have so much of their thought is consumed with how to breathe, and breathing exercises, and breathing to relax, and breathing for phrases, and all of that kind of thing. It just was really interesting. So he provided us with some little exercises and just talked to us about how we can use our breath as string players. In July, we had a special guest artist, Sasha Kitzlitzen, Alexander Kitzlitzen. You might follow him on Instagram. He is a wonderful musician, classically trained, and he does all these interesting gigs all over. And he's just been an inspiration for me. We were at school together in my master's degree. And his sister also is a fantastic, amazing musician. So I'll have to link them below. Sasha came out to talk to us about just making your way as a musician after school, basically. And then in August, we had Dr. Matthew Mogman back again, talking to us about the Renaissance and Baroque time periods music history. September, we had Dr. Robert Steffen, who was an archaeologist and professor of classics and humanities at the University of Arizona. And at that time in the studio and Patreon, we were exploring like ancient music and the Delphic oracles and lyre music and the Sikelos epitaph and all of that. Sikelos epitaph is from the first or second century AD, but of course Delphic oracles BC. So anyway, we were discussing ancient history, and so he came out to give us like a Western history presentation about the ancient world and how music and arts tied in with the culture back then. It was really fascinating. We'll definitely have him back in the new year. And then in October, we met the lovely Julie Leon Lieberman. She came to talk to us about Western swing, and I just loved her so much that I asked her if she might have room in her studio for another student to come and bother her each month. And so she said yes, and so I've been working with her since I think maybe it's just been very recently, but I've been so grateful. And we've been working a lot on technique at the moment, and do I have some things to correct about what I have been teaching you. So that will be coming out, or some mistakes or things that I've learned recently about technique. We never stop learning. Music teachers, people that are interested in learning, I just don't think we ever stop learning. Even if you're not a teacher and you just love learning, it's just the joy of learning, like the layers of the onion of learning and connecting the dots and filling your mind with beautiful thoughts and ideas, expanding your mind. It's just so fabulous and so fun. I've just become insatiably curious this year, I feel. I just like want to learn everything. So in November, she came back and she talked to us about klezmer music, which was very cool. Klezmer music is like traditional Jewish music. Very fascinating. And then in December, we had the lovely and wonderful Chris Hay from the Fiddle Channel come out and teach us about the blues. And that was just so much fun. And Chris is such a wonderful teacher. I also subscribe to his Patreon and get to see him once a month. And that's one of the things I'd really love to do, is I really want to learn about fiddle music. My very first teacher as a little girl was a fiddle player. And I still still talk to her on the phone to this day. And she's such an important person in my life. All my music teachers have all been important, key people in my experience. And so I'm so blessed. It's just special. It's just really special to have a music teacher. So anyway, that has been what we've been up to this month with guest artists. And my heart is so happy to be able to have guest artists come out and teach these little classes on Zoom for us, and allowing to record it and for us to watch it back later is just so generous of them to be able to allow us to do that. In January, I have a special guest artist coming to talk to us from Perostro Strings. So we're going to learn all about strings. That will be interesting. And, on this little calendar, we've got all sorts of other things. We've got violin, viola group classes. I've just called it violin group class, but it's really violin, viola group class. And then we have our monthly virtual studio circles. And so I wrote down some things, some themes that we've kind of been talking about and exploring in our group classes. So I'm going to look down here at my notes here. But of course, in our virtual studio circles, it's a little time to chit chat as well as like community and musical community, and hear what people are learning, who they're studying with, what they've found interesting, what books they've been reading, what songs they've been working on, what things they've been kind of experiencing as musicians out in the world, or just as people that are learning their instrument, and trials and tribulations and things like that. But it's also our practice performance space too, because it's not, it's hard to find a group of people that you can kind of share you can like have a music nerd moment with, and people will sit there and listen and listen to you fumble through things that you've been working on, or really be there for you when you do a practice performance. It's really special. So that's our virtual studio circles. Those are our just little music community bubble times, I should say, every month. And we've also had our violin viola group classes, and we've had in the violin viola group classes, I usually teach a little mini lesson for the first half of the class, and then we just have some individual practice time, and we're there as a group in case people have questions, or if it's just, you just want to have some fun with your practice, and I check in and bother you every 10 minutes and just see how you're doing. If you want to share anything at the end of it, you can do that too. But in our violin viola group classes, we also explore some of the things that we've been learning on Patreon, because every week I post a little video there for you, and they eventually trickle out to you guys on YouTube. But we have a specific thing that we're learning on Patreon, and then we are, as a studio, working on certain things. Our guest artist kind of gets us thinking about things, and then in our violin viola group classes, we usually will have a little time to digest the thoughts and things we've been working on as a group in all the layers. So we've done basic classes, we've done fiddling styles and practice techniques, we've talked about medieval music, improvisation, tuning, performance practice. We've explored some things on IMSLP, looking at the complete country dances published in 1740. Those have been fun. The English Dancing Master from 1651. It's published in 1651, and it even has these like little dancing notations to show you how you're supposed to dance to it. We have been exploring the website 8 Notes. I reached out to 8 Notes later this year and asked them if I might be able to kind of use their website to teach some tutorials, and they graciously said, sure. And so I'm hoping that I've inspired a few of you out there to subscribe to 8 Notes. It's only $20 a year for 8 Notes. And it's a magical website. We use it all the time. So we've been exploring some songs there in our violin group classes as well, violin viola group classes. We've looked at some ancient music. We've explored like harp and lyres and modes a little bit. And then we've had some Western swing and blues classes, and so we've kind of delved into those a little bit, done some listening, done some exploring, done some kind of trying out of things. And of course we have time for Q&A, so people that have questions about things can just kind of ask, how do I do this? And it's just fun because it's not just me that can answer the question. It's other people in the group can say, yeah, I struggled with that too, and this is what I've done. So it's really lovely. So those are our violin viola group classes. And on Patreon, we every week get a little mini blurb from me, a little video about something. Sometimes we follow a particular methodology, and sometimes we're just kind of exploring certain techniques like bowing techniques or vibrato or whatever that is that we kind of feel like holiday songs. But they've actually trickled out eventually to YouTube, so you've actually seen most of them, I think, at this point. But just to recap, we've done the very easy melodious etudes by Edward R. Elgar for violin and viola, and we had found the music for that on IMSLP. We've explored some bowing techniques, détaché, portato, legato, staccato, all those kinds of things. And these are all in the playlists on my YouTube channel. So if you aren't on Patreon, you can just pop over to the playlist and they should be there. We've also done that Old Masters series, the Old Masters for Young Players series, which have been really lovely. And we've done some easy string crossing exercises. And we've talked about how to play in tune, ensemble practice. There's 3 videos in that how to play in tune series. And then I showed you my new setup for recording and lessons on Patreon. I don't know if that actually trickled out to YouTube. And then, of course, lastly, we've finished up the year with some holiday songs. So we've been looking at Christmas carols, Yuletide carols, Hanukkah music. It's just been lovely to end the year that way. And so that's everything that we've done that I can remember in the studio and on Patreon. So, actually, no, I'm sorry. We did the recital in December, early this month. We did our studio recital, and we had 3 people play. So we had, Dory and then me, and then Alan. We played our little tunes, and then as a group we played some Christmas and Hanukkah music, and Danny came out from New York to come and play along with us too. And there was supposed to be some other people there. You know who you are. But, it's that time of year where there's some things going around. And unfortunately, people either got sick or got injured or whatnot. And so hopefully next year, and of course, you were not there either. And maybe you'll come out next year. The studio recital is always the second Saturday of December. I live 30 minutes from the airport in Philadelphia. You can fly into the Philadelphia International Airport and just take an Uber. I'm 30 minutes away from the airport, and just come out for a little weekend, say hello and play some tunes. If you come out a day early, that would be a good idea. At least a day or two early, that would be good. But anyway, so I feel like this has been, for me personally, such a wonderful year. Like I said, I've just really feel like I grew, I just feel like I grew a little bit. And part of that was just because I switched just being passively listening to things to actively listening to things, and specifically seeking out things to listen to and people to learn from. So for many years, I just really enjoyed listening to podcasts. I thought they were really fun and wonderful. And of course they are, but they're just kind of entertainment. And I just didn't want to be entertained. I wanted to be educated. I wanted to become more educated in things. So I started to learn a language. I started to work with the app Babbel and learn French. Every time I go for a walk on the treadmill, which is lurking behind this thing over here, I would put my iPad up and do my Babbel exercises, and 30 minutes would go by and I would have done my French lesson. And that was great. And there's some other apps that I've been working with to help me learn French. And that's one of my goals, I think. I mean, I'm 33, I'll be 34 in January. And I think by the time I'm 40, I would really love to feel like I could speak French. So I've got 6 years. I'm giving myself 6 years to kind of, see if I can learn French. I even started studying with a French teacher. We're exchanging harp lessons, French lessons, harp lessons. And that was really fun. So that's been magical. That one thing that I did, starting to learn a language earlier this year, it made me so happy. I was just so happy to feel like I was learning something new. And then I started to really want to learn more about the French culture, learn about France, and learn about history. And so that I've always been, in love with audiobooks. I've always loved Audible. And I've always loved history, so a lot of my audiobooks have to do with history or geopolitics or novels that are kind of historical fiction or historical novels. I've always loved that. But on Audible, they have the great courses, and the great courses are university professors that are lecturing about a subject. And often the lectures are, there's 45 or 50 lectures, and each lecture is 30 to 45 minutes long. And it even comes with an accompanying PDF, and sometimes the PDF is 150 pages, so it's like a little textbook that comes with it. And that's been really awesome. So, I've always thought, it'd be fun to go back to school. I'd love to learn about history more. I'd love to learn about, I just want to learn, basically I just want to learn things. And I realized, I don't have time to go back to school. Or I don't really want to have to go through that process of going back to school. Why not just, listen to the great courses, at least for now? And so I've really enjoyed that. I've listened to 3 series on Western civilization, which I think were even free. There's so many of the great courses on Audible that are actually just free with your membership, which is $15 a month. And so Western civilization, and then there's 2 parts of that. It's quite long. It's 100 lectures. And then there's a more modern Western civilization, which was fascinating. And then I've listened to some courses with Dr. Robert Greenberg, who I love, who is a music history professor and probably music theory professor as well. But he's just such a fun teacher. I just really enjoy his courses. And he has one called Music is a Mirror of History. Music is a Mirror of History or something. So basically, a lot of music and art is a reflection or inspired by the times. And so he would go through, music history as we know it, and just kind of talk about the history that was happening at the time of the composition. And so that's really interesting. That was fascinating. I read Gone with the Wind this year, and that was a fascinating novel. It was one of those books that I just really couldn't put down. It's just written very, very well. And so that inspired me to want to learn more about American history, which was something that I had never really been super interested in for some reason. I'm much more interested in kind of going back to the very beginning and then working up that way. That's just how I am with my instrument as well. I want to do the fundamental stuff, and then I will build upon that so that I can kind of connect the dots in my brain better. But reading Gone with the Wind inspired me to want to learn more about American history. So I listened to great courses about the Civil War, which was fascinating. And then I wanted to listen to great courses on General Lee and General Grant. I'm listening to his memoirs right now because for some reason there's not a great courses on General Grant, or at least I couldn't find it on Audible. And so I've listened to both sides, and wow, if you think that it's weird now in America, it was really crazy back then. It was really crazy back then. But anyway, I think through learning a lot of these things or just being exposed to history, it just makes you realize that if you think you know anything, you're crazy. If you think that you know like anything at all, you're just a little bit crazy, because to be able to understand something, you need to understand so many sides of that issue that it's just almost impossible to really understand. And it's an insane idea to think that you might understand everything and not be just kind of caught up in your own beliefs about things. So that's been really interesting. And I started to read these books that were inspired by these great courses that I was listening to. So I've been reading St. Augustine's City of God. I've read the Oration on the Dignity of Man, which is a beautiful book. It's very tiny. I think it was written in like the 13 or 1400s. And then I've been reading the Courtier, which is one of my favorite books now. The Courtier is so great. It was written in 1527, I think, and it's all about how to be a courtier during that time period. And it's like a little after-dinner conversation with all these wonderful people. Even one of the Medici sons is in the conversation. And, the Medicis were incredibly important patrons of the arts and books and learning and everything, the humanism. And so it's one of my favorite books. I'm going to have to read it to you. Remember when we did those Mozart's Letters and a Cup of Tea? We might have to do that again, but with the Courtier, because it's such a good book. It's so great. But anyway, I've gotten some subscriptions, like I said. Babbel has been great. Bilingua has been great. That's like a little app where you read in the language that you're trying to learn, and it reads it for you in the language so you can hear it. And then the translation is below, so you're kind of reading it at the same time. It has some really great features as well. So those two have been great. The Encyclopedia Britannica has been a really awesome tool, because as I've been learning about these different things with history, I want to learn more about certain things that I'm reading about. So rather than just kind of looking online, I just can search on Encyclopedia Britannica and then read about what they say in the Encyclopedia Britannica. And maybe that's, not the only source that I should be looking at, but it's a pretty good place to start with, I think, if I want to learn about something, rather than just kind of searching and just seeing what comes up, on Google. So Encyclopedia Britannica has been a really good subscription service. Um, anyway, so that's kind of what I've been learning about, and of course I've started studying with Julie Leon Lieberman. I've recently started to study with Chris and subscribed to his Patreon channel, which is the Violin channel. It's such a great platform he has on Patreon. And then, of course, I study with my viola professor, Hongmei Xiao. So I have 3 music teachers, which is so wonderful. I'm so happy to have 3 music teachers. And I also have this French teacher, which has been magical to have a French teacher and to be teaching her the harp in trade for our classes. So that's been really special. I've been trying to work on audio recordings. I've been composing. I'm writing a little book of tunes for you. But that's kind of been put on the back burner for a little bit. I've got 6 songs that are written, and I actually have another 6 songs that are written, but they're not really edited. And my mind at the moment is wanting to go out and film, because we've just had fall, and fall is so beautiful here. Winter, I'm fingers crossed for some snow. I want to get some beautiful footage of the snow. And I want to get some nice recordings so that I can make some music videos for you. And depending on when you see this, you might have seen that I actually do have my very first music video out. It's called Masters in the Hall. I'm playing the harp, I'm playing the viola, I'm dressed up as a witch. It's been really fun to film that. And yeah, let me just see if I'm missing anything. Non-music or education things. I started to use a different hair product. And even though my hair doesn't really look very good today, it looks a little bit scraggly. It's just, I didn't really style it. I just went to the gym and then just styled it like this. So, but, my hair used to look like a crazy person in the back. It used to just really be dried and frizzy and awful looking. And so Moroccan oil has been an amazing new brand that I've been using this year, and I really love it. I just didn't realize that my hair was just really, really dry. So if you have really dry hair, Moroccan Oil's brand is amazing. I love their hydrating shampoo. I love their hair masks. I love their hair oils. I didn't really realize how important a hair oil is, but it's a game changer using the hair oils. And just hydrating hair products have just been really awesome. So, and then for beauty and skincare and things like that, I still use my L'Occitane. I love L'Occitane's skincare products. I really love Blue Mercury's M61 face peels. I've been using their face peels for like 10 years. I love those. And makeup, I've been using the same makeup for the last 500 years, I feel like, but this year I wanted to change a little bit, and I popped over to check out Chanel, because I'm learning French and I've been learning all about French things, and so I was curious about Chanel, and I really love Chanel. I love Chanel's lipsticks. I love the Le Beige's what's it called? It's not really a foundation. It's their water tint. It's just kind of a barely there. It doesn't go into any of your lines and wrinkles. It's just really lovely. And I love their lipsticks and mascaras and all sorts of things. So I've been in love with Chanel's products. Don't need a lot of makeup, but just a little bit of fabulous things. I really enjoyed Chanel. So, and lastly, just exercise. Like I said, I'm going to be turning 34 in January. And when I turn 40, which is going to be here before I know it, I'd really like to be fit. I really want to be a fit person in my 40s. I want to be able to run around and do the things that I'm still doing now. I want to be making music videos. I want to be playing my instrument. I want to be learning. I want to be active. And so in order for me to do that, I have to do that now. I have to be active and busy and doing things that I want to do right now, so that I can then be doing them when I'm 40. So exercise has been so important, and that's been important to me, very important to me, essential to me since the pandemic hit. So that was when I basically turned 30. I turned 30 in January 2020, and in March 2020, that's when things kind of shut down here. And that's when I realized how important exercise was for me. So that's why lurking behind this is a treadmill, a foldable Pilates machine, a yoga ball, some kettlebells, and I have 4 sets of weights and ankle weights, and they're all hiding behind this. So, and we're in a little teeny tiny room right here, but I have everything that I need to exercise. I'm lucky, and in the apartment building that I'm in, we have a little gym, so I don't run on the treadmill here. I'll just walk on the treadmill because I don't want to bother my neighbors downstairs. And I try to do that when I think that they're probably at work, so I'm not bothering them. And anyway, so my routine for exercise has been to try to walk 10,000 steps every day. Sometimes I can't do that, but if I'm mostly trying to do 10,000 steps, if I'm trying to lose weight, I'll try to do 10 to 15,000 steps. And it's hard, it's really hard for me to do that because I'm not really getting out very much. So anyway, walking, staying active. I try to run 2 or 3 times a week, and I use an app called the Down Dog app, which they're sadly getting rid of the running portion of that, so I'll have to find another running app. But it just kind of paces you, walk, jog, run, sprint. It kind of divides it up, and you can figure out how long you want to do your running exercise for. And I just started with 5 minutes, but now I can do 30 minutes, which is great, 2 or 3 times a week, and I love that. I do kettlebells 2 or 3 times a week. I do yoga once a week. I should probably do that more. I haven't done Pilates recently just because I've been really enjoying the kettlebells and the walking and the running and the yoga. So I need to get back in and kind of shake it up and do some Pilates because I really do enjoy Pilates. But anyway, I think that's, and then of course eating healthy. It's so important to eat healthy. I think we all love to eat, and I'm so guilty of overeating. I just tend to just eat and eat and eat and eat. So after reading Gone with the Wind, I learned that Scarlett O'Hara's waist was 17 inches, which is so small. My waist is 29 inches, maybe 28 inches now, I don't know. But I realized that, they were a lot smaller back then in the Civil War time period. So I was thinking, what kind of portion size would Scarlett O'Hara eat? Or what would be like a lady's portion? Because I just never even thought about that. I just kind of like gobble like a hog, like Mammy would say in Gone with the Wind. So that's actually been a good thing for me to realize in my 30s is portion control, staying active, and playing my instrument and trying to study and keep my mind exercised and happy. And it's just the joy of teaching music lessons and taking music lessons and taking classes and learning, and just really trying to live, like get outside and enjoy, be present when my husband's here and to just spend time with him. We're good about, just getting our weekends, and we just do whatever we want to do together on the weekends. We're not thinking about work. We're not on our phones, we're like tapped in and focused on each other and are doing everything together, even the grocery store and all the things. So that's just been, we've always been that way, which I just love. I just love my husband so much. So, there's that saying that one of the Roman emperors back in the day would say, you have to remind me that I'm mortal, because I need to remember that I'm not going to live forever. I'm going to die at some point. And so even though that's kind of a morbid thing to think about, that we are going to die at some point, that I just don't want to be on my deathbed, whenever that might be, and realizing like, oh my gosh, I just really wish that I had experienced my life more. Like I wish that I had actually experienced living in my life more. I just wish that I had experienced feeling what it feels like to go for a walk outside in the winter, or feeling what it feels like to look in my husband's eyes, or to teach someone about music, to just really be present. And it's easy to be present in a music lesson because it's just so fun, but I just have been trying to realize that it's so incredibly magical and so special that we're actually alive. And I just really want to experience it and feel it and be present for my life. So I think that's one of the reasons why I think this year in particular has just been such a special year. I haven't been in my own way as much as I usually am. In the past, I would be getting my own way and saying, oh my gosh, I could never do that. I'm not good enough to do that, or I'm too shy to do that. Just like letting my little fears and anxieties kind of hold me back from doing things. And I just feel like this year due to some of the things that I've done in the past, I've just kind of really been able to get out of my own way and just allow myself to do what it is that I might want to do without letting myself be held back. There's certain things that I would still really love to do. I'd love to learn how to dance. I'd love for my husband and I to take some dance classes. I just feel like that would be so fun. I'd love to be able to do that. I would really love to go horseback riding regularly. That would be amazing. I haven't gone horseback riding for years. But I grew up in Arizona, and I was very lucky to be able to go horseback riding when I was younger. I would love to go horseback riding. And we live in an area where there are horses. You know, we could go to a place and take lessons. But of course, money and time. So, you know, anyway, it's been a whirlwind year. It's been really fun. And I'd love to know, how has your year been? What have you been up to? Have you been learning anything? Have you been reading anything that you really loved? Have you been studying with a teacher? Are you learning your violin and viola? Are you learning the harp? Have you tried something new this year? Do you get in your own way and prevent yourself from doing things? Or have you really started to feel like you can just do whatever it is that you want to do, you know? And do you think about, you know, the fact that we're going to die at some point to kind of help you to actually live? I mean, you know that Christmas movie, the Christmas Carol? The Christmas Carol, three ghosts visit the main character, and at the end, it's not really a ghost of death, but anyway, death comes to visit and actually show Ebenezer his own grave and what life is like, you know, after he's gone. And just that experience of death visiting Ebenezer completely changes his perspective on his life and the way that he's living his life. So, you know, death is our ultimate, I guess, teacher. Although it's hard to learn how to do things once you're dead. So we just have to try to do better while we're alive, I guess. But anyway, I will let you guys go on this morbid thought of us all being immortal. And I'll see you all very soon in the new year. And I'd love to know what your goals are for the new year ahead. What do you want to be learning? And I'd love to see you on Patreon. Come join us at some of our violin and viola group classes. It's only $15 a month to do that, or $45 if you want to come to these guest artist classes too. It's so special to be able to learn from people that are really knowledgeable about their craft, whether it's history or music or some other specialization. It's just really wonderful. So I wanted to be able to offer that to you because I enjoy that. I enjoy learning, and so we'll just all learn about things together, and you can join the Take the Cake tier for that. So anyways, you guys, lots of love. Happy end of the year. I'll see you in the new year, and thanks for being here and for all of your support over all these years. I'll see you soon.